Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name's Hysterix' Chronicler. This is Dag.
Yeah, boys! Games!
It's hard. We're stuck in here, but we're stuck in here with Gen G and Top Esports.
Which is not a bad place to be.
Honestly, actually.
It's all right.
Yeah.
What, for you or for us? I mean, we're old LPL casters. You're the LCK
I think
OG.
we're all
Oh,
going
true.
to have
We
fun
should link
today.
actually.
Okay, I see.
Put him out of it. We don't need to see him anymore, man. It's good. We got
I see how it is.
Nice balance on this test. You're going to run us through all of Gen G's tidbits, which I think even LPL fans right now should be scared of this first seed.
Yeah, if you don't look too closely at the historical record of Gen G against LPL teams, I think I'd be very scared.
But hey,
realistically, I do think the Gen G that we had over the last couple of years is different from the roster we have now.
Yep.
As we have, of course, no more Peanut, no more Doran, which, as good as they are domestically, they have had their fair share of hiccups internationally and in general, some consistency issues. And we'll see if that's enough for Gen G to finally take down a team of the LPL, because this is #1 seed versus #2 seed. But we have seen, I think, every single top team kind of have their moments where you go, they'll shake you at times.
Yeah, and agree. Especially, you look across the top esports. Their play-ins were ropey at times. I mean, even 369 getting solo killed by Oscar Innen. So I think for top esports, we got to see them settle in once we got to the stage 2 of MSI. But I really want to see now what they can do against Gen G. And for me, looking at this series, it feels like a huge amount of it is Mako and Jackulov versus Canyon Chovy, because I feel like that's where we see the biggest discrepancies between the two. Pays has not had the strongest of laning phases, where Jackulov and Mako have been incredibly potent, but the mid-jungle from top esports has been really lacking at MSI.
And then the mystery is all about top lane as well. Who comes in better form? I think for 369, like it's been a mid kind of tournament where he still had great team fighting, but the laning phase hasn't been as consistent as we liked in the LPL. And then Keen is just this player who's so good on Cassante and has all these other flexible picks that you're like, well, how's that lane going to go and balance everything out?
Particularly with 369 also last year being, I think, far and away the best top laner, the way that JDG played revolved around him and Knight, creating space for Ruler, and they were really incredibly dominant. Keen, though, had really a kind of transcendent moment where he was able to finally break his curse and single-handedly slam Zeus down in that game 5. Which
solo killed twice over the course of the series.
It was nuts.
Now, just quickly, while we are waiting for this one, ladies and gentlemen, we do have some content from the last game for you, because Shox is standing by with Humanoid for the Verizon post-game interview to check in on Fnatic after their loss.
I'm here with Humanoid in the Verizon post-game interview after Fnatic unfortunately falls in MSI to Team Liquid. I'll leave the first question pretty open to know what your reactions are in terms of what didn't work out today.
I mean, I think we were just completely choking out of our minds. It was pretty obvious, I would say. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I remember you did the interview after the Gen G series, and there you were like, all right, well, they're a lot better at a lot of things that we are not yet. That was a relatively close series, even though it was a 3-0. I mean, I feel like you could see some of what Fnatic could do. So what do you attribute the fact to that you were choking them today?
I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I felt fine playing. It felt a bit weird. I think we were not doing anything. Everyone was just playing scared. And then, then maybe it's because we are supposed to win. So then it's pressure on us, whereas before in the matches against the Asian teams, we are like supposed to lose, right? So then it's easier to play, but I don't know.
Okay, how do you look back at MSI overall?
I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun here. I wish I could stay a bit longer. I mean, I'm going to stay a few more days, but then I have to go back. But I wish I could play next week as well. But yeah, I had fun.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and apologies, went a little bit over pick ban there, but it's okay. We had a small delay getting into things. Now, let me just run you up to speed here. In this Champs League powered by Omen and HyperX, we get Jackulov's Draven opening up game 1 of the series.
Right from the get-go here, a couple of things to note. The Kalista feels like a necessary pick-away immediately, given how well Jackulov and Mako have been performing. TES slammed down the Draven. Not only an iconic pick for him, but also one of the traditional counter picks into it. Chovy, even blind, we know how much he loves this this Corki, both a menace in lane, while also having incredible late game scaling.
He just absolutely slaughtered Fnatic on this pick just a couple of days ago as well, picking up 3 early kills, especially playing around that bottom side, being able to get some, so not surprised at all. And the Vi taken away definitely gives a huge amount of threat, but Nautilus going to come in on the opposite side, and we were kind of discussing off air, Chronicler, like, not picking Nautilus with Renata open, but you get the opportunity to take the Nautilus and then ban away the Renata in these next pick rotations.
That's 100% a given. The Nautilus Draven lane, insanely strong. Renata, I think, is one of the few picks that can really mitigate while simultaneously being a threat. Like, into Nautilus, normally you can go things like the Braum, but, you know, Braum Kalista isn't really going to excite anyone. Canyon getting the Vi is big though. One of the big weaknesses that the Draven can struggle with is whether you get lockdown guaranteed there. Unsurprisingly, Renata Ben comes through. Another big thing is what is Keen going to pick? Keen is a big fan of the Urgot. We also saw the Vayne, but I don't know if they want to pull that out in a game number 1.
Yeah, especially against top esports, but it is a nice takeaway from 369, seeing the early Cassante. That was one of the adaptations of TL and Fnatic last series, as well as this pick has just been on a tear. It's like 13-3 or something right now at MSI bracket stage. It's insane. But as that goes through, we see the Poppy taken away as well. One of the options into a lot of mobility, especially the Nautilus.
Yeah, I think this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because I imagine we're going to see TN go back towards something like the Sejuani or a Maoka or something along these lines. Decent into the Vi, also a decent amount of lockup then for what Gen G want to do. But I think you're kind of forcing Cream into a Azir, kind of Talia area. More than likely going to be Azir, just because I think against the Corki, the Talia not going to have the best of times, but could be relatively okay. But I think the Azir for Cream has just been a stronger pick for him.
There's a matchup that Chovy is very comfortable with.
Oh, yeah.
Often picks it into the Azir as well. That obviously is a classic LCK handshake. Could also be looking, because I'm double checking, like looking towards the Rumble here for Keen. Something that he has brought out in the past. Cassante can actually get bullied in the early levels, and particularly with the Corki and Vi already, I think Rumble gains a ton of value. Not only that, but if Pays and Lahens really want to throw down, you can also go for the Kalista Rumble. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if Gen G is going to look for a lane swap, because with the performance that Pays and Lahens have thus far, I don't think you should try to flip into the combination, particularly with the Viego added of that Draven and that Nautilus, because if you make like 1 or 2 laning mistakes, the game can be blown wide open.
Best snowballing champion. I mean, TN also, by the way, whenever there's any opportunity to pick Viego, this guy's like, yeah, I'm slamming it in. A lot of teams have started banning against him in the second rotation. As Alistar on the other side, another adaptation here for the bottom side, now that the Renata's taken away.
Yeah, I'm only so-so on the Viego pick, though. I think I would have preferred to see a bit more of a front line for Jackie Love, because 9 times out of 10, 369 is going to be the side lane.
God.
And
I love
Keen is bringing it out again.
I don't think you played a game to 1. Surely not, right? Well, Keen is ready for it.
He's gonna. I was actually looking at something like the Malphite, right? I think Malphite into champions like Draven would be something.
This would be a Cream specialty. I mean, the audience knows that we talked about the Azir. Maybe he doesn't want to take that matchup in. He's played against a Corki before, and in the LPL, something a bit more ambitious through mid-jungle.
Let's go!
Cream debuts his Akali. We have seen him on standard stuff so far on his favorites. We have not seen a melee assassin come out of him. Finally there in the debut.
But this is what he made his name on in OMG. When he hit the main stage, he was like, I'm going to go for the Akalis, the Silases, the Yones. I'm going to pop off with having Aki give me that attention in towards the mid lane. And now bringing it out against Chovy's Corki, it is comfort for Cream against the best mid laner that we have at the tournament.
I think it's also quintessentially 2 comps that these teams love. On one end for Gen G, you have Chovy on a hyper carry. Canyon in this team has been more of a facilitator. Keen with a counter pick. And then Lahens, who kind of ties it together with the Alistar. I gotta say, the top esports comp on the flip side, very much something that you'd expect from them. If they can pop off in mid-game, obviously exceptional, but the point-and-click lockdown of the Vi particularly always makes me a little scared for Akali specifically.
Yeah, and I think that's why we need to see top esports finding their success in early skirmishes.
Oh, yeah.
If you can get this Draven going, if you can get a kill or 2 going onto the Akali, that's where you're going to be able to try and play it through side lane. Look to see if you can get a little bit of a snowball rolling for Cream. And then when you get to team fights, a ton of backline threat where, yes, Alistar can protect the front line from something like a Nautilus, but if an Akali has a flank, if you got Viego coming in on the side, it becomes way more difficult for you to play the front to back that Gen G are looking for.
I love it again. You both have outlined the stylistic matchup here, the stylized team compositions from both TES and Gen G. 2 teams who haven't really been tested so far in the bracket stage. Now, of course, top esports came through play-ins. They got beaten out by Fnatic in a game, but still managed to push their way through. Gen G, remember, have debuted, played against Fnatic, 3-0'd them, and now are sitting up here with Top Esports saying, what are you going to do? This is a matchup I've been waiting for. This is a matchup I felt so lucky to be able to cast, because this winner out of this series moves up straight into the upper bracket finals. Remember, you win this, you win another one, you're in the grand finals of MSI. It is the upper bracket run that is going to test these teams and set them up for success. As they're already gying, we're not even into the start of the Fountain Rush. And the Chinese fans are coming out in force.
You know how important this is for both sides, though. LPL versus LCK, a grudge match as old as time.
Get me in.
And now we will get to see it for the first time here at MSI. And both squads looking to prove themselves. Top Esports show that they can perform on the international stage. Gen G show they can take down the LPL.
Grudge Line kicks us off, doesn't it? But Top Esports is just the invade, because it might be setting up for the potential lane swap here. But the Draven and Naught to go topside as a potential. Get pressure here for Tien, who we talked about on this Viego, needing so much to play with.
I think it's more to try and spot a Pays and Lehens are going for a lane swap, because you're definitely on the defensive half of it for the Kalista and the Alistar. Alistar has that pulverize, so then as you engage as the Nautilus, you can try and get that disengage off, so he can't get the auto attack down as the follow-up. But realistically, looks like honestly, Gen G are happy to just go for the standard lane, and it'll be Top Esports that are on the wrong side.
One of the big things here is that even though I agree in the 2v2, I think Jackie Love, Mako are going to be very happy. Level 1 in particular is so rough for the Alistar, so you don't get to take early control of the lane. On the flip side, though, I think as Top, you look at this and you see, we have a Cassante and they have a Vayne. And one of those is going to feel a lot better in a lane swap scenario. Last time we saw Gen G do a very similar thing where Keen is just straight up, runs to mid, pressures the enemy mid. And I want to again reiterate, one of the big things with Akali is that you need to be able to get through the first 6 levels relatively unscathed. Post 6, you obviously have a lot of all-in potential, but early on, if you fall too far behind when it comes to experience, you can kind of get stuck in a situation where finding that all-in window becomes really, really tough.
And Cream's completely zoned off the wave. A nice hit, Chronicler, because Keen sticking around in the faces, I feel like something we've only seen him do as well, where other top laners will just appear, get pressure, then leave. Keen now moving around in the jungle as well and watching to see if Cream steps too far forward in the lane again.
I think 369 is coming across here to just cover for mid lane just in case any funny business comes down. Also to just start up the Raptors here for Top Esports, but good ward coming through from Gen G. Will spotted exactly what Top Esports are up to. So all said and done, it's kind of Cream who's bearing the worst of the brunt here, alongside Keen, who, after helping Chovy now, is actually going to set Chovy a little bit behind in experience, because they are sharing there, whereas Cream did miss out on a little bit of that experience off the first wave.
Another big thing we haven't touched upon yet is Keen does run Ghost as well as Flash, whereas 369 has gone with the Teleport, obviously. So one interesting thing, actually, 369 going for the Flash on the Cassante. We've mostly seen the Ghost, but instead going for the Flash here. Specifically with the Vayne and not having Teleport available, might be a little bit harder for Gen G to respond, but right now, just looking like even trades and no really big shenanigans yet, as his entire wave is going to get lost.
I like the way Pays and Lehens are playing this, though. They're playing up past the turret there. You can see it in the picture-in-picture, which is just denying 369 any chance of actually getting up to the tower. So he's definitely going to lose all of this experience to the turret, whereas Keen at least is getting some experience by sharing in the mid lane. Again, it will actually give Cream, as you can see, the purple bars underneath the portraits, a little bit of an experience lead. Cream just hitting level 4, and a lot of that coming off of the shared experience that has been done between Keen and Joe.
But the level 2 Vayne that we talked about is coming in. They're winning the fight already. Gen G got the damage down on 369 as he gets flashed on. In comes Keen to save for the first blood. The rotation massive in Gen G behind the turret. Push TES back.
This is where the experience sharing comes up huge with the teleports come in.
Okay, we're doing it round 2. Dien gets lured in. False sense of confidence. Getting chased down at level 6. Pays with another. The spears stack up and Gen G are playing with their heads.
Massive mistake from Top Esports. You just don't have the number advantage. And you can see they're going to dive again.
Do it again. More blood in the field. Just give it all to Pays. This time to be traded, but Keen dies to a turret. No response kill for TS and a 2k gold lead at 4 minutes in the game.
Honestly, win for Keen. He just gets a quicker reset, and now will be able to move up towards top side if he really wants to. Wasn't going to be able to get too much on the bot side, but Top Esports, they tried to invest resources on the bottom side to get 369 on the turret, but they completely mess it up. You don't have the experience lead, you don't have the numbers in the positions that you want, and Gen G punish perfectly.
Trade up in blades, trade up in kills, and no real counterplay possibility for top. Not only that, but 369 still sitting, again, at a very, very low level. We'll see when he's actually able to get to a wave. And because he TP'd, one of the few advantages that he did have over Keen when it comes to getting to the wave earlier gone. Pays now double buff, 3 kills already, meaning that on his first back, steel caps as well as a Dirk.
And look at the where we're extending our lanes. Draven going topside to match Pays as well. So Pays now gets to take that 1.1k gold that he has and turn it up against JackeyLove. And you needed this Draven to get rolling. You needed Cream to get going. But at the moment, Top Esports are massively behind.
And because of the fortification as well, it's not like JackeyLove just walks away with so many plates. He only got one. The second one doesn't actually fall down in the end either. So, but Gen G, this is insane. I love the adaptation. We always call them such a smart team. But I think this single movement from Keen and the way the map now is just again shows it in spades.
One of the things, though, that Gen G need to keep in mind is something that we saw. I think one of the other teams that Top played into.
Was it Fnatic?
I think it might have been. But walking into JackeyLove and Mako when you have a level deficit, as is the case right now, because the one thing that Top still have going for them is that JackeyLove hasn't gotten anything yet, but he's also just been stacking. He's just been hitting the turret. He's been in a position where they're going to have to try and get him into an actual kill. That said, though, one of the things I always look towards when you are talking about these Draven compositions is how much setup do you have. And Nautilus is good, but I think something like a Vi really would have helped as well as Mako.
Well, we're speaking of her. Mako's going to be outnumbered here. The Vault Breaker forces the flash in the end. JackeyLove walks on in, but Lehans gets butt back. The standard sign was beautiful.
Cream.
Wrench line is out of range here. Cream, you mentioned, starts walking up, but the play diffuses. Gen G walk away.
Just able to step it back. That could have been very, very dangerous. Mako did have to burn his flash, but still Top Esports would get all 3 of these Void Grubs. A lot of that coming off the back of JackeyLove, styling on Lehans a little bit with that stand aside.
Gen G did take a little bit of a risk there, because early skirmishes, that's what Top is going to be looking for continuously. It's not like they can't play late game fights if you get a good angle on the back line, if you have 369 eventually farmed up, although obviously in the 1v1 against Vayne, not going to have the best of time.
No.
One of the few champions that can actually chew through him. But Chovy still isn't that strong. Also going to go for the Hex Drinker rush, which we've seen a lot into these type of aggressive matchups. So early Hex Drinker and then just go into the normal Corki core. Also, with only a tier, he's not really going to be too much of a threat outside of lane.
Surprised to see the lane swap again coming through from Top Esports, though. Moving Cassante back into that top side, it will be a, hey, we want to try and punish Keen, but I thought at this stage maybe they would just let it play on out with Keen being a little bit far behind already compared to, say, JackeyLove on experience, but they really just don't want to give this Vayne any opportunity to farm on up.
Makes sense considering how the game started, but remember as well, with the swap and being behind a bit with 369 not able to step up, it's more turret plating over to this duo that's already betters. Perfect execution starts off. Cream jumps on into Chovy, but then dissuades it as 369 comes in just to save the day. Just in case. JackeyLove's ult in the meanwhile clears out topside waves, so the push slows down for maybe an extra waves time.
Yeah, we'll get the opportunity for Draven to actually start taking turret shots, or sorry, shots to the turret in the bottom side.
Yep.
You still have a huge amount of resources from Top Esports dedicated to the bottom half of the map, and it looks like we're going to get the reset in response from Pays and Lehans to try and answer for this push on the bottom side by Top Esports.
JackeyLove currently sitting at about 240 stacks. That's something that Gen G fans are still going to look towards. But Cream trying to look for a play in mid. I think those early ults with Akali really are going to be where you want to try and make something. And that's again where Viego Akali, if they're ahead, I feel like that combo feels impossible to play against because once they get on top of you, you're dead. But it isn't the best way to start a fight, right? Especially against a champion as slippery as Corki. Actually locking him down can be quite tough as long as Mako isn't there.
I think that's the problem for Top Esports, though, is that with all these lane swaps happening, it has been Gen G that has gotten the lead, right? The 3 kills, obviously, for the Kalista, the extra plates. They're also getting at least the experience lead for JackeyLove, which does help. But when it comes to pure raw damage, it does feel quite Gen G favored, especially with Keen. You can see the level 6 versus the level 5. He's kind of come out on top as well over the Cassante. And if that's going to be the case, as long as you can wave clear with Chovy and let Keen 1v1 against 369 in the side lane, it feels like eventually with these towers falling for Gen G, they should be in a position to just continue to play out the map state, and that's where Gen G's always been comfortable.
We haven't talked about this as much yet. Mentioned Chovy a little bit, but his mid to late game team fights on this Corki pick are
exceptional.
Absolutely insane and incredibly hard to deal with. And because of the early attention that was paid, like, he's just farming first strike gold off of Cream. Cream has no threat whatsoever. Might get a little bit better as he finishes his first item, but right now not going to be the case. It's a possible 3v3.
Well, Top Esports needs something, so Dredge Lion in is exactly that, but no further. Canyon hovering on the side now with his cease and desist as well. Tien matching as on a ward. The bottom lane sits right now with Canyon backing away.
Okay, there's not really much that you can do here as Top Esports. Mako would look to hit 6, should hit off the wave. Maybe then you look for the play as Cream. Just going to go in for some trading, but Mako just hit 6 on bot. Are they looking for the play? Looks like at least Gen G are respecting it and backing off.
I mean, on a ward, Tien backs off, and you can see that Canyon now hovers towards mid. The other lane with the all-in that just came through from Cream, where Chovy now having TP and the package to be picked up right before Dragon spawns in 5 seconds.
Big thing here is that it is a Cloud as well as a Chemtech, meaning that outside of Ocean, all the remaining Drakes mega have I love Cloud Soul as oh
Jackie Love caught on out cease and desist. Package time at great as Jackie flashes though. His ult is going to come and use this onto Chovy. He needs to catch on in. Canyon a new target. Tien finds one and Jackie Love. The money bags are there. Top Esports back into the game.
There's the skirmish that Top Esports needed. Gen G think they can catch Jackie Love just as he opens on mid, but instead Jackie Love is able to get the space he needs thanks to Mako, and they turn that one around.
Gen G knew as well, if we can kill this Draven, the game might be as good as won.
Yep.
But just a package, not enough. With the help of Mako there, Canyon doesn't have that much damage. Actually, he was behind, and they overestimate the amount of damage they can do.
Especially with the Essence Reaver just picked up from Jackie Love as well. You can see how much he just chunks health bars every single time with the Sheen proc. Even getting the cash in the end is perfect. Now Gen G, they run back up towards the top side. This is still going to be, you know, an awful lot of damage from Gen G onto these side lane turrets, which could come back to bite Top Esports. But with Draven being huge, it's at least some win cost.
Yeah, at least something there. You already picked up the Essence Reaver before, but as TP comes through for Top Esports to defend top side, it really feels like 80 carry versus 80 carry. But the question is which one? Keen running in. Man has to be careful. That guy now at half HP after a couple of autos from big bad Jackie Love Draven at 369. He's dancing again, but maybe he shouldn't with the cow. That cow's got horns.
At least he's got flash this time, you know?
Yeah. It doesn't have Hack Flash though, so he doesn't pass the test. As now, as a result, despite the 4 kills, we do see Jackie Love at the top of the gold standings.
Mako got
that one. One thing to note though, and this is important, is that while Jackie Love is now sitting on a nice little gold lead, the other side laners for Gen G, kind of what we expected coming into the series, are still sitting at a lead. And with the Vi, Jackie's going to have to play very, very respectful. As we do see a small invade here to the top side of the map by Top Esports. And first turrets are going to start dropping soon. And it is Ocean. We hadn't mentioned it yet, but...
You know what bothered me about Chovy the other day? Why did all his ults hit? Like, every time on Corki, bro, have we checked his PC? Like, this guy, every single Corki rocket hits, and it's so frustrating.
It's the same with how does he get so much CS? Because he just lost hits.
ASOL ulti up every, like, 10 seconds.
All the CS. Yeah,
it's like,
it's a
people
problem.
think it's just a meme, but it's actually true. Like,
yeah.
It definitely feels like this is coming down to a battle of the hands with Chovy's Rockets, but also a bit of battle with the brains. Because one of the things that I've loved about Gen G is how well they play off of side lane pressure. And as you were alluding to already, now the Keen and Chovy going to have a lot of pressure when it comes to those sides. But I think Top Esports have been one of the best teams in the LPL at playing off of 80 carry pressure in mid, unlocking Mako to make plays like this because they control mid lane.
There's no help for Chovy. Canyon's on his way, but Keen doesn't have TP.
Chovy's trying to clear the way for the time being. He gets away from the Dreadnought. Nice sidestep. Phosphorus bomb clears, and he Valkyrie's back under turret. Cream's going to be the traitor, at least we thought. He gets away. The turret shot ain't able to clip his wings.
I cannot believe he survived, especially Canyon has the ultimate, but didn't want to commit that underneath the tower. So it's going to be Chovy falling, despite how well he played that.
Really big win there for Top Esports. Meanwhile, in top lane, and this is one of the big things that Top is going to have to find a way to deal with, is 369 is not in the game. Like, we talk a lot about the Cassante. It's been one of the hot topics. In this game, though, he's sitting on steel caps.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't want just boots 40 minutes into the game?
Well, if you're a support. Even that. Like a Mako. They're sitting on Kindle gems.
He's got
they
more
got
on him.
cloth armors.
Yeah.
They got pots. They're flush with cash compared to 369, and that is one of the things that if we get to actual 5v5s, I'll be really interested to see how that is going to end up going. On the flip side, though, Genji's only frontline is Lahens, with Keen playing the Vayne. Mispositions not really allowed, and a ton of burst damage available on the side of Top.
We already talked about him. I mean, that burst damage is alive and well.
Tien.
Tien, though, speaking of which, is going to be one. Lahen found him. Pulverized headbutt, easy combo. And down he goes, caught out in front of this Herald. Ain't where you want to be.
He didn't stand a chance there. Very quickly able to pick him off. And now Gen G get access to this Rift Herald again. I think Tien could have tried to play through mid, work with Jackie and Mako to move across, but Gen G, great punish on the play.
Lahens, his laning phase has been something that has been often criticized, but his game sense is one of the big things that he is often credited for when it comes to how Gen G move around the map. And that's going to be Herald here as well. And once mid lane turret starts falling, particularly with a comp like Top Esports, if it is impossible for Cream to find a vision pocket because you can't walk up safely in mid, it becomes a lot harder to execute the fights.
Especially even just trying to get control of mid for Jackie Love, right? Because one of the things that is a win condition for Top Esports right now is trying to play off of this Draven. But if you've lost both side lanes and suddenly Chovy is turning around with a package in towards the mid lane, or you've got Keen who's able to find angles in behind the tower, it's going to be very difficult to defend that structure, especially with Rift Herald in tow for Gen G. So if you get Top Esports pushed back in behind their tier 2s, access to the map just starts to fall apart for them.
And if Jackie Love dies again and loses the Adoration stacks, then there's another problematic on top of that, because Pace in the early game might be down in CS, might be down in levels, but he's still got the gold, he's still got the value here on the Callista. That's the other problem. We're coming into this being like, Jackie Love's going to clear the bottom side of the map. Well, Gen G right now are clearing all portions still with a 3k gold lead and the push towards mid. You guys were just talking about it. Mid's now down. Those pockets of vision get harder to play.
Packages there as well. I don't think Top necessarily want to look for the contest, but it looks like they are moving in position right now. Cream on his way, level 11 hit. Does have level 2 on the ultimate. Gen G, though, in full control here.
Chovy's package, it's scaring me. There's the engage. Lahen sets it up. Look at the poke. Yuck. Mako's at half HP. Goodbye, contest.
And usually you would rely on 369 to be the one that comes in to check, but as Broniker was already saying, you just can't use him in any sort of way at this stage.
He's a plastic bag.
Exactly.
You know, there's a fridge that keeps things cold for a long time. Plastic bag with a bit of ice in it. Melts after an hour. It doesn't do anything. That's the problem.
That
That's
was
what you
very
got.
Australian of you. If you put ice into a plastic bag in either the Netherlands or Ireland, it will stay basically as
no
cold as
way.
you need to.
Mate, that's gone in 30 minutes. That's water.
It'll just be lukewarm.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Unfortunately, the weather in our respective countries not too great, Dagva.
No.
Here too.
The big thing here for me, though, is that this is what Gen G wants. Ideally, Chovy mentioned it, against Fnatic, they really were happy to throw down and be scrappy and really fight them continuously as, the TP.
It's the play all out for 369, trying to find Keeney. Kites away with the final hours. Cream looks to chase on in as well. He doesn't have flash, though, and he needs a perfect execution target as Keeney's just ghosted, and he's out of there
Only
for the
ghost.
TP.
And that's for a TP as well.
There's nothing that you can do. The fact that he's able to escape away from that is perfect. He gets the wave pushed in, and now you've committed so many members of Top Esports out to this bottom side. Gen G go great. Go just take the top.
That's as I was saying. This is the ideal Gen G game where they can just shove turrets, play you around the map, drag you around, and even on this Vayne, Keen been able to just generate so much pressure. 369 just about to get close to his first item. He's going to have the Iceborne Gauntlet, but the problem is, of all champions, Vayne is probably the best at dealing with Cassante.
And that's the thing. I feel like this is the first Vayne game where I'm actually impressed by the Vayne. I feel like too many times we've seen them try to scrap with the Vayne when she's behind. Actually take skirmishes, take fights, and that's not what this Vayne really wants to do when she's behind on the grand scheme of things. But if you can isolate the 1v1, which Gen G have done really well here, that's when Keen can still have that impact, even if he's slightly behind in, say, like the Jackie Love or to Cream on the map.
Which is why it's important that we talked about playstyles, because obviously when Gen G are a team that can play sides so well, you know, Dagda, you said you're impressed watching them back and how they play the map. With a pick like this that always has side lane pressure, that always has shove against this Cassante, it's just perfect for the way the comp's going right now. They're 4K gold ahead, and it's not like it's been a really flashy game for Gen G. It's been smart moves. It's been slowly pushing that barrier of entry towards the enemy jungle. As you can see, Vision Line pushing up as well, and slowly increasing that gold amount, as well as the Dragons to boot.
Yeah, but it is really bringing up Keen's international stock, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
let's be real, when we came into this, everyone in the world was like 369, best top laner, he's the guy to beat.
Everyone.
But he hasn't had the best of tournaments thus far, and Keen has had an exceptional tournament. The Cassante looked absolutely great. Now he's having a wonderful time against 369 as well, and even just picking up his first title this year, it feels like Keen is really making himself known on the international stage.
Keen, of course, part of some of the LCK's darkest memories. When we go back to 2018, and it was a really big moment when he was able to finally win his title. Sure, maybe you didn't catch it on the early broadcast, but Keen has placed in every single spot in the LCK as they're getting sieged from 10th to 1st. Took him, I don't know how many years, but
At least 5 anyway.
No, because he debuted relatively early, right? I don't remember when it was exactly.
I mean,
but
if he has to hit every single one, there's at least 5 years in there.
And it was supposed to be last year, but that was with KT.
We
the
don't
big
talk.
T1.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that
Sorry,
didn't
I was
happen.
going to
And
say, we
now
don't talk about that, but go for it.
I mean, it's part of his story, and
Yeah.
him finally breaking out of that. As whoa, Jackie!
Pick on to Jackie, where's those adoration stacks going to go? He flashes away, and now for the re-engage, whirling death on the Canyon, helps get the cash in. Jackie got the money bag again. Top Esports have no business finding anything, but it's Cream flashes into 4 members. 369's coming in. This is where TS's stock rises once more. Perfect execution of the trade. 369 team fighting is where he finally makes his move. Flashes in, all out. Gen G, a bewildered pace, getting hit but survives. Somehow, Jackie flying through, gets another cash in. Reset for Tien. Headbutt pulverizes Flash. He finds Chovy downtown. You can never count out TS when there's blood on the rim.
For the second time in a row, Gen G look to kill Jackie, and for the second time in a row, it ends in absolute disaster. He makes it out, stays alive, and the punish from TES is huge.
I have never seen a Draven look this slippery before. Twice they've invested the vials onto him, and so many members come mid. But watch the hook again from Mako. Prevents the follow-up. The flash prevents Keen from getting the condemn, and then he's in a perfect spot here to get the great whirling death across so many members. And Cream, showing why he's so well known for the Akali, hops into the middle, keeps Gen G interested, gets the perfect execution onto Keen, and just opens up the floodgates for Top Esports.
Package is ready though, and in the picture-in-picture we see Gen G starting up the objective.
The flash over, they turn away from the Baron. The package positioning great. Jackie Laporta, GA on the back end though, and Chovy gets hooked back in, but that GA timing's everything. It's Canyon interrupts it. We go from 0 to hero for Gen G, but Cream's still alive. White bringing the fight in, but someone needs to deal with pace. Someone needs to deal with pace. Someone needs to deal with pace. As he cleans up the entire fight and brings it back to square one.
Gen G get rocked, but they come back with the haymaker immediately in front of the Baron. They bop Top Esports, and they'll take the Baron.
And right there you see Top, they got the kills, but it took them a long time. And Lehans, the Jester, finally they find Jackie Love. Immediately the GA procced, and even with the damage being done and Keen dying immediately, so much of the gold of Top is on that Draven, and with him going down, even with the resets, look at Pace, completely untouched in this fight.
And the fact that you have almost perfect timing consistency from Canyon there on these vault breakers is insane. They catch Jackie Love as soon as he comes out of GA. He catches Tien as the Vayne, who could have potentially tried to carry that fight. But a jungler posing as an AD carry is no match for Canyon.
Well, I said someone needed to deal with pace. I was wrong. Someone please take care of Chovy.
That's fine. It's normal Chovy thing.
Oh, it is.
Don't
Sorry,
pay
only
too much mind.
8.5k damage. All right, well,
It's fine.
Let's watch it again, because Dragon starts objective bounty for Top Esports, and Canyon again will be multiplying his objective bounties as it goes down. Canyon does die though. Cream in the back end on top of Chovy, trying to take him out, but Chovy is hitting range. TES have already picked up the objective bounty and need to get out of there. Again, Chovy hits an R button and 3.5k damage in that fight where he didn't even attack at all.
Nice successful though for Top Esports, and the Red Bull Baron power play from Gen G is going to suffer as a result of that. Should still be able to pick up the inner, but as long as no inhibs fall, Top can at least hold on to a little bit of map pressure, but the kills that they got in the previous fight, I think, much more important.
Yeah.
Because the Baron going over is one thing, losing the turret is another, but no GA on Jackie, that cooldown is still not even halfway right now. And Gen G, one of the big issues that you see the top is facing is that there are too many threats. Corki's online, Vayne is a threat, and Paze is monstrously fed as well.
The poke hurts so much, and we talked about 369 not being in this game because he's so behind on items, he can't withstand it. Chovy Paze together. Right now, the range is tearing top esports apart as 7,000 is just about the gold lead. Gen G with taking that inner turret down.
The flash is about to be back up for JackeyLove though, which means at least in these coming fights he will have some semblance of control and keeping himself alive. But you still got to look at, you know, a GA picked up for Paze. He's in a great spot. As you already pointed out, Chronicler, there's so many threats for Gen G that Cream has to at least take one out and then hope that JackeyLove can 1v2 these fights, because otherwise it's going to be a disaster.
The problem is, realistically, Keen is insanely slippery if he has his ultimate. Chovy is sitting on a maul, and Corki is another target that's... Oh, okay, yeah,
Everyone's very slippery is what I'm getting. Condemn is actually buffered by the Unbreakable, and Mako just gets on out, excuse me, the Heartbreaker.
As long as you're able to hold on to some of these inhibitor turrets, though, I think you're okay as top esports, right? You're still 2 dragons apiece. The Baron is gone. There's not a huge amount on the map that you really have to come out and fight for, so you can try and get 369 to a position where he has some items. You will lose the outer turrets, but with this being the last wave the Baron buff will do anything with, they should hold on to the base.
One of the downsides for top, though, is that as we look, Kareem right now ideally wants to try and get a teleport flank. That's where has been where top has had the most success, and right now they need to move as like a 5-man, 4-man unit out on the map just to reclaim some control. Chovy uses the final seconds of the Baron to make his way back to the base. We talked about it at the beginning. We already saw how much damage he did in the previous fight. The Corki, it's only going to get worse in terms of damage that he's going to be able to do. Imagine he's going to be looking for the GA next as well. Once level 16 is hit, those rockets are going to hurt. And the package plays from Gen G is what I'm going to be looking towards. Because one more Baron, I feel, that would start crack open the base. Canyon is looking.
Cream looking for objective bounty himself, though, and with the help of Tien and whole top esports being spotted top lane, it will go down. So TS clawing back some of the gold, but again, remember, they're leaving these other lanes vulnerable for Gen G when the push comes in again.
There's a big wave brewing on bottom side, so you will see top esports go back. They're going to give that over to 369. They know that they desperately need him to really be a factor in these fights. He's sitting at 2 items, but would need some magic resist of some semblance in his build, because the amount of damage that Chovy's doing right now is going to whittle away that health bar very quickly.
While we have a little bit of downtime as well, it's also a good opportunity to talk about Paze, because Paze's split wasn't that good, right? Last year, came in, was really... and I loved him in challenges, but I wasn't expecting him to be as consistent as he was last year. On things like his Aphelios, obviously has done exceptional, but being part of a great team, I think also makes it easier to look good. And this split, he was fine, but Viper outshone him, Gumayushi outshone him. And coming into the tournament, I was really expecting him to struggle, at least in this game, and I'd argue even in the Fnatic series, I do think we have seen him slowly kind of step up his game and get to the point. Although in this game, obviously, the actual 2v2, because I already see Dagger, the actual 2v2, we haven't seen too much of, but even outside of that, I think when it comes to the map movement, Lahens and Paze, it feels like they have really cleaned it up.
Yeah, it definitely helps when you start off with 3 kills.
You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, look, this is kind of where we saw this battle taking place, was between Paze and JackeyLove, but we will have to see as the series goes on how that actually starts to pan out, because we didn't get the 2v2. We got a very messy lane swap from top esports. So if I'm Gen G, honestly, coming into this, I go, right, well, screw your 2v2. We clearly know how to lane swap better. Let's just play to that. But Lahens spotted here. Top esports trying to get position for Dragon in 20 seconds.
You know, I'd be more concerned about Chovy right now as well, because coming in, that was the matchup we talked about being favored for Gen G. And even though Cream has had some of these good fights on the Akali, Chovy's damage shows that he has to go first. Flash available for both mids. Flash available for both 80 carries. We're gearing up for this Dragon that spawns in 3 seconds as Gen G are walking in with Cream off on an angle.
GA for JackeyLove, flash for JackeyLove. Can Gen G get access to him.
They want this objective bounty so bad. Dredgeline doesn't connect though, and over the wall. It's not stolen. Canyon tries, he flashes away. Cream still not in, but the flip back from 369 is only onto Keen. He went too deep, he overcooked, and now he dies. Canyon dealing with Cream on the side is big from Gen G too. As we've got numbers advantage, we've got a face call. Lahens has the knockup, and Cream is going to be too late in the middle of everyone. Perfect execution out. TES running for their lives again, with Gen G winning another fight.
This time they get the Dragon, but I don't think that's a price you want to pay, because without Mako and 369, you don't have a front line. Gen G just going to run straight to the Baron. That's going to be theirs, and Inhib sure to fall following this. And top esports, not enough.
A bit of a disaster. They will look for Keen, but Keen should be able to make it back towards the squad, and maybe even look for a little bit of help from Lians. Tien trying to get in here, has the ult, has the flash, but it's going to be long gone before he can even get a sniff at this barrel.
Especially with this grade A3 Wagyu zoning off Tien. I mean, like, Lahens is everywhere in the face, and it's annoying when you can smell the meat, but you can't cut it, right? And when you can't cut it and you have to look at it the entire time, you just think, man, I wish I could do something about that. Anyway, I'm hungry, Dagdo. Run this through.
Yeah, but I mean, it's anti-synergy between top esports on the left and right hand, so giving them a knife is not really what you want. If you look at Jackie Love and Mako here, the stand-aside comes out onto Chovy right as the hook for Mako is about to go through, so they knock Pace and Chovy aside, no hook to set up for Jackie Love, and Lahens then sees his chance. Immediately in with the Fate's Call, the pulverize onto Jackie Love, headbutts him out of the fight because they know we don't need to kill Jackie Love, just stop him killing our people.
Three things there. 369 being so far behind, so he just gets shredded immediately. Cream getting exhausted, not able to sync up with the rest of his team, and then Lahens. If they can't kill Jackie Love, if he's not autoing, you're probably still winning the fight.
I mean, again, 2 items on this top lane Cassante, 3 here for Keen. It's not perfectly going to show the example, but the 3 levels behind definitely exemplifies the pointers. Now the siege begins with that range that we've been talking and seeing all game long from Gen G. Top esports on their last legs here, almost 10k gold behind, and Chovy continuing to do things like that. And Chronicles, I'm glad you mentioned the package, still up there, still zoning TES away from this next turret. Yeah, use it. He's out. Guess what? Gen G will still get this in the end. The ultimate from Jackie Love's good, but Chovy's damage. Chengdu open their mouths, and quickly it's shut in an instant. Once again, as the dredge line comes through, the depth charge is there onto Paze, but watch Chovy. Cream's trying to deal with him. The Shuriken lands. Wait, Chovy might die, but no! Paze gets the last auto before he drops himself, and even though 369 separates this Callista, they need more damage. Jackie Love sent packing again as Dredgeline forces a flash out from Keen, but Canyon with the re-engage and the Vault Breaker. TES are getting whittled down slowly but surely as Paze flashes forward, feels himself at MSI, and Gen G with the brain, the brawn, the prowess are taking top esports away from any big chance for game number 1. Nexus will drop, and that is a dominating performance by such an impressive team.
Double GA still available there at the end for Gen G. Didn't end up needing it. They took some risk. The Vayne coming out here again for Keen. Chovy blinding Akali. But after that, you gotta imagine top, they're gonna have to try to find some answers, because that lane swap really was actually the big benefit of Gen G. The 2v2, we talked about it.
It sucked. Let's just
It
say
was bad.
it was terrible.
It was not good.
Yeah, they needed to find some way to get resources 369. He got caught out in several different positions. They never really got any of those resources. And immediately you can see Gen G knew what to do. Place Keen mid, force Cream back, get him some resources. And then the attempt on bot lane to get 369 into lane was where this game really blew open. 3 kills, 4 pays, started that snowball for Gen G.
I mean, it feels like they're all always playing from a deficit. There's some good TES fights, but when you're so far behind, when you're fighting from with a loose limb, it feels quite difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, after game 1, though, that absolute barnyard banger, we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to break it down.
Thank you so much. It was definitely exciting to watch. A lot of action from the very, very beginning, and Gen G coming out on top, even though, Emily, it was TES that decided to initiate the lane swap.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I loved what Gen G did, and I believe it was Chronicler who called it out on cast, where they essentially picked the Vayne into the Cassante, right? We've seen a lot of top Vayne hovers and then top Vayne picks. This is the best execution of it in terms of what she can do with side lane pressure. And it really started by, obviously, you still share the XP in mid, but keeping her mid and making sure that Keen got XP while the rest of Gen G were able to completely keep 369 at level 1 for so long. Like, he was denied so much pressure, and Gen G came out of this lane swap looking great.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing was the disaster in the bot lane.
I would
That
agree.
too.
That's also our HyperX
Yeah.
reflex replay. I love the way you dubbed that. The disaster in the bot lane, Jazz.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can lose a lane swap or you can lose a lane swap. And this was the latter, because at this point, they're not allowed to be under the turret, but they're so desperate to get 369 some experience, they try anyway, and this is where Gen G shows that killer instinct. I think the smarter version of this is, so what? You lose 2 waves and 2 more plates, but you don't lose the game, and that's almost what happened here. They made some plays to kind of come back later, but this was very, very big in the overall context of the game.
Yeah, and then the TP in, as you can see, 369
It just keeps getting worse.
Going into turret, that is not going to work out super, super well for
It's
him,
over.
right?
Just teleport top.
He's
Get a little
coming
experience.
in. Yeah, he's coming in. He's getting a little XP off those minions, I guess. But obviously, this did not work out, despite the fact that, like you said, we did see some fights in the mid game in particular. Jackie Love, Draven is something I always want to call out as something, obviously, he is super, super comfortable with, as you saw in team fights. It is, I would say, even though it's his 8th most played champ, his signature pick. This is the thing he was playing in solo queue when he was like a 14-year-old trainee, when everyone was like, this guy is really, really good. So if you're wondering why the crowd went insane when that champ was locked in, that's why. And he's obviously very good on it. But for me, it really did start. Like you said, you can lose a lane swap or you can really lose a lane swap. And Gen G just came out so far ahead that even when TES were able to get some picks, try to get Cream back into the game, try to get 369 back into the game, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, and Jat, of course, he picked a Draven right in the very first game. Paze had a much better game when you look at the stats, but it wasn't by lack of trying by Jackie. Do you think it just all came down to, one, obviously the disaster bot, but then also the way Gen G played around it?
I mean, I think the whole game Gen G was playing from a little bit ahead, and this was almost like the most generous possible game that you could give to Chovy, actually, because he was just vibing when all that stuff was happening in the bottom lane, out CSing Cream with his range advantage in lane phase, and then as the game extended, it's not like he was ever behind. So you look at these team compositions, they are actually really weird. Like Vayne, Corki, Callista, triple carry, Vi, and Alistair. It doesn't immediately seem like it should work, but that's where I think Gen G deserves a lot of credit because of Lehenz's ability to actually be like a one-man wrecking crew frontline that then allows the 380 carries to actually function.
Cho did 42k damage.
Right? And it didn't look like he was doing much that game until...
That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, we didn't get to do our introduction for this matchup, so we can take a look at some of the things we wanted to talk about. It is, of course, Chovy versus Jackie Love in terms of respectively being absolute pillars and outperformers for their teams.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the big thing, again, we've covered this when we've talked about Gen G, but Chovy looking for that first big international title, right? That's what everyone is looking at him for. Meanwhile, Jackie Love won it in his first year at Worlds in 2018, his rookie season, and everyone has been waiting for him to get back there since, right? And this TES roster pairing him with Mako, people are like, finally, this is their time. But on the other side, Gen G have been playing extremely well, and everyone's saying, okay, this is Chovy's time.
And I think we're only one game into this series.
Yeah.
True.
I think a big part of this series is going to be about which star can outdo their lane opponent more. So Chovy would, on paper, be a huge mismatch against Cream. He outlaned him, didn't smash him. This game, Jackie Mako didn't actually get to lane against Paze Lehenz, and then Paze ended up with 11 kills. So I would say that even if there's a theoretical reason to swap your Cassante away from a Vayne, there's a very practical reason to not swap Jackie Mako away from whoever is in front of them.
That's a good point.
So I would say that that's going to be a big thing in this series to decide who wins is which star shows up more.
I think you just hate lane swaps. But one thing I do want to say, though, that we really saw from Gen.G in this series is their absolute understanding of side wave pressure, cross mapping, and just like the ability to play the map, right? Because I've called these two teams out as kind of the smart teams that we have here, right? And for Gen.G, it's their cross map and their map awareness. For TES, it's when they're able to get fights. And I think you even saw it in a few of these fights here, right? Where they recognize, they see a window, and they actually are able to win even when they're from behind. So those are two things to watch out for these teams as they continue to go up against each other in the series.
And that we will. Hopefully we get a bunch more games between Gen.G and TES. We're going to take a quick break, though, to catch our breath, and we'll be right back.
Esport is the entertainment of the future.
Nobody takes a title from G2!
I'm doing something I've trained my whole life to do.
Claim their ninth title!
Find something you're good at, become a master at it, and then try to connect it to the esport world.
Red Bull gives you wings.